thank you for coming today. I realized, because of Barbara's email in advance, that she was going to be videotaping this, but it's actually nice to have people in the audience because it's much more fun to look at someone than look at a picture on the wall. And we really want to have your questions. We're going to talk about what we do and what we have, but we really want to hear from you about what you need beyond what we talk about, or how could the things that we describe be a better fit for you, or maybe we're completely off the mark and you say, this is interesting, but for me I need X, Y, and Z. We really want your ideas and your suggestions about research, computing, and how technology can help you with your research. So I'm Ruth Marinshaw. I direct the Stanford Research Computing Center, which, like everything, gets abbreviated, the SRCC, but essentially that's research computing. And we are a relatively new unit at Stanford. We will be 3 years old in July. Woohoo! We'll have a birthday party, so it'll be fun. We'll invite you all. And so where we are in the university, because as you know from having been at Stanford no doubt longer than I have been, Stanford is distributed in ways I did not ever imagine, but it's great. We report to Ann Arvin, the Dean of Research, and most of you know her, there on the left, and also to Bill Klepsch, who is the Associate Vice President for IT Services. So we have feet in two camps. The IT side, because a lot of what we do is provide infrastructure and stuff for your computing, but the research side as well, because what Anne and the provost and the president's vision is that we interact as much as we can with the faculty and with their research teams to really understand their research and help them move ahead. We, of course, partner with the IT leads in the different schools, centers, departments, labs. You know, it takes a village to do this. But it's important to know that Anne is looking out for us and Bill is looking out for us, and between the two of them, so far, pretty much any problem we've come upon, they've been able to help find a solution. So why are we here? Why is research computing at Stanford, and where did this idea come from? Well, I wasn't here when this idea came up originally. Phil was, and he could tell you all about it. And some of you guys who have been around Stanford doing research for a while probably remember that 6 or 7 years ago, there was this initiative on campus led by Phil, Bill Klepsch, Ann Arvin, and a group of faculty to really try to figure out, as fabulous as research is at Stanford, by any metric you can think of, Stanford's research profile is world-class and the top of the line in every way. So could we be better? How might we be better? And they were echoing sort of national communities, scientific, humanities, social science communities, conclusions from here. I'll try to do this right. The ACLS started in 2004, interviewing humanities and social science faculty around the country, including at Stanford, to try to figure out, technology is really changing things quickly. How important is it for your disciplines and your domains? And of the many conclusions, and this was, you know, going on 10 years ago now, from this very wonderful and long report, was we really need cyber infrastructure for the humanities and social sciences. Well, what in the world is cyber infrastructure? It's a term that, I'm sorry this doesn't show up, we'll change it for the final presentation, that Dan Adkins from the University of Michigan came up in another national study, this focusing more on traditional science and engineering. He came up with that term to describe the collection of resources that you need to support the research enterprise from a technology point of view. You need stuff. You need computers of some kind. Maybe they're now mobile. They sure weren't back in 2003 when they talked about that. You need storage. You need a place to put your data. You need networks. And most of all, you need people to help support that infrastructure. It's really a waste of time for every faculty member to have to also be a sysadmin and run their own servers. So cyber infrastructure, even 10 to 12 years ago, across the country was seen as a really important investment for universities. And the way most universities approached that was by realizing when you want to build resources at scale, you could do it in 1,000 little pieces, or if you do it all together in sort of a shared collaborative environment, then you can actually achieve some economies of scale. So lots of people spun up these research computing or high performance computing centers or groups as part of their research enterprise or their IT enterprise. So the faculty, the deans, Phil, went to the provost and president and went back and went back and went back and came back, and finally the president said, we're going to do this, woohoo! So what Stanford decided to do was create central research computing, not to put anyone out of business, there's fabulous research going on already, but to provide services and facilities to help at least coordinate, not centralize, what's going on campus and provide more opportunity for researchers to do more with technology. So that's sort of how we came to be, and I'm sorry if that's review for some of you, but maybe some of the faculty or postdocs watching the video, this will be new. So Phil and I are going to talk about some of the services we offer today that maybe are of use to you. And again, at the end, we'd love to hear, what else do you need? Or that's not relevant to me. One, we have a data center, a secured data center. You know what data centers are. They're places where you put your equipment for research servers and storage. If you've been at Stanford a while, you know there are servers in closets, there are servers under desks, there are servers stuck wherever you can find a power plug and a network connection. There are also enterprise data centers like Forsyth Hall, where we have the university's email servers and web servers and like, but research servers are different because they're usually running all the time. Somebody's running code, whether it's SAS, Stata, R, Python, something, and they typically, as you do more and more with more data or run larger codes, you need more servers, so they generate a lot of heat and they require a lot of electricity. So they can't be accommodated in closets or under desks or in Forsyth. So we have a new data center. Phil's going to talk to you about that. Already H&S faculty are using that. Maybe you will too. Phil will also be talking about some of the tools we make available, some of the expertise our team has, and some of the projects we're engaged in to help you move your data around, share it with colleagues at Stanford, share it with collaborators or the public elsewhere. So that part of cyber infrastructure that's the network and moving things around, Phil will talk about that. If you have servers already or you're going to buy something new and they're really for your research, we offer system administration services for clusters, for research servers, and also for the Hive. And I threw this in and say, well, what's the Hive? We'll see a picture of it, but it's the new, relatively new visualization facility in the basement of the Wong building in the engineering quad. And research computing runs that facility. If you don't have your own servers, but you have some computing needs, we offer shared clusters. You may be familiar with these already. The farm share machines, the corns and the barleys, largely intended for your students and instruction. During a quarter, you were teaching students how to do something in MATLAB or SAS, Fortran, whatever. But there's a research component to them as well, but largely that. And then the Sherlock HPC cluster, and we'll talk more about that. We also can help you learn to use these clusters, decide where to compute, how to work with your codes. And then we provide information if you're writing a grant proposal. We can provide information to you about what kind of computing resources you might want to include, and also boilerplate information about the facility. Suppose you know what you're going to buy, and that's great and that's wonderful. But you know, there's always a section where you have to describe the local facilities and where you're going to put it and the security and all. We can provide you boilerplate for that. And then also, we'll give some examples of how we're partnering with groups or individual PIs to try new things, because that's the exciting thing about technology, especially technology at Stanford. You guys, you faculty are inventing some of the technologies, then we get to deploy and scale out. So we'll partner with you when it's of use to you, to try out some of these new ideas and do new and interesting things.